Still possible in the playoffs. Still possible in the playoffs.
Right.
Gotta get that ring in the playoffs. Still possible in the playoffs. Still possible. The Boston Celtics still possible. Atlanta 18.
Playoffs beat the heat, you gotta know. Let's go Celtics, let's go. Come motherfucking Celtics, let's go.
Welcome back to Still Potable, the greatest Boston Celtics podcast ever. The Celtics have won the Eastern Conference Finals. They are in the NBA Finals. They will likely play Kyrie Irving. Tonight, they trailed the points in the fourth quarter of Game 4 and just kind of controlled the rest of the way. It wasn't always perfect. They missed some threes. Jaylen Brown missed a wide-open layup, but the Celtics found a way for the third time in this series to really rescue themselves from serious trouble and be just another crunch time escape by the Boston Celtics.
It's nuts. It was, they gave themselves a little more time to erase the 8-point deficit in the fourth quarter this time around compared to Game 3. But for them to be able to do that again with the way that game was going, Jay, I thought was damn impressive because they weren't in their threes. Offensively, they weren't getting a lot going. Clearly, the pressure was not on. They're like, all right, we could pack up, take care of this in 5 games, but. No, Jaylen Brown decided he wanted to get this thing done tonight, and his playmaking down the stretch, and for them to come through in the clutch again down the stretch, I think is the story of the night here.
And I thought it was a lot of defense down the stretch. It was deflection. Jaylen had a huge block. They just got stop after stop. The Pacers didn't score for the final 3:32 of the game. After Obi Toppin threw one of the best passes of his life to find Pascal Siakam. He threw that pass through like 4 different Celtics players to find Pascal Siakam. That put the Pacers up 4. Joe called a timeout with 3:32 left, put Tatum back into the game after a quick breather for Tatum, where they subbed in Xavier Tillman with less than 4 minutes left in a closeout game. And
didn't want that 6th foul, Jay. Didn't want that 6th foul.
Yeah, I felt like it was a good move. It rested him just a tiny bit to get that one defensive possession where he wasn't there, and then the timeout that Mazzulla used after that. Tatum came right back in after the timeout, dusted Obi Toppin for a dunk. Jaylen Brown scored on Obi Toppin on the very next possession with a step through. The Celtics players have done all sorts of step throughs in this series. Jaylen has done like 5 or 6 himself. Tatum did one earlier in the game. That is not the most important part of this game at all, but I just found it notable that all of a sudden, I can't remember too many step throughs by the Celtics this season, but this series they broke out a ton of them. Let's go to the final pass by Jaylen to find Derek White in the corner. I thought Jaylen actually had another great pass in crunch time to Jason Tatum for a wide open 3, but Tatum actually missed it. But Jaylen kind of delivered the Celtics down in crunch time with this one.
Yeah, and for years now, Jay, we've just been talking about in those crunch time situations this year, like a lot of times they became too reliant on themselves in those spots in a tight game there. So for them, it just, I think, kind of just shows how far Jaylen Brown specifically has come in those moments where he, attacked the ball well, like lost the ball for a second, recovered, and just made the right rim read and said, Derek White is right there. And Derek White, for him to hit that shot after a rough shooting night for him, it was just it was a perfect encapsulation of a team that's able to, nothing really came easy for them in this series, but it didn't keep them down, and they were able to, they look like the more experienced veteran team down the stretch, which they were, but for them to do that against this Pacer team on the road 2 games in a row like that was pretty damn impressive.
And the Pacers were great. They didn't stop. I thought they might be deflated after taking an 18-point second half lead in game 3 and losing that game. But those guys don't quit. Nembhard was amazing all series, especially after Halliburton got injured. TJ McConnell just never stopped attacking, never stopped getting into the paint, never stopped hitting short jumpers over the top of the Celtics defense. He gave them troubles, and Nembhard gave them troubles, and Siakam seemed to hit every single mid-range shot he took the entire series. It was an incredible mid-range series from Pascal Siakam and the entire Pacers roster.
Does he have your respect now, Jay, again? Does he earn my respect back after the bubble?
he earned it before this series, but it really did. The stink of that, was that the 2020 or 2019 Eastern Conference Finals? Whenever it was.
Which one? Say again, I can hear you.
Was that the 2020 or 2019 Eastern Conference Finals?
Oh, the 2020. It was in the bubble, I believe. Oh, 2019. So it must have been the Eastern Finals was 2019.
Yeah, that's the stink of that Siakam performance. It stayed with me for a while. It was ugly. He's not that player. He's never really been that player. That was just the worst series of his life. And he was a handful for the Celtics in this series, but Celtics figured it out. They figured it out 3 times. If you look at the like win percentage of like their chances of winning at various points in the fourth quarters of this series, Celtics had like less than 10% of winning game 1, less than 10% of winning game 2, or game 3 rather, and less than 10%, I believe, of winning tonight. I haven't checked the odds of tonight, but down 9 in the fourth quarter, I can't imagine they had a great winning percentage chance. And they just kept finding a way. So it will go down as a sweep, but this was really a competitive series, basically start to finish. Even in game 2, when the Celtics ran away with it, that was like the Pacers hit them with runs. It took the Celtics a while to kind of run away with it. It was a very competitive series all the way through, with or without Tyrese Halliburton for the Pacers.
People were calling it maybe one of the most competitive sweeps in NBA history. I don't know if we go that far, but it's certainly. I mean, it brought back memories of that Nets series 2 years ago, where the Celtics swept that in 4 games against a much better Brooklyn team than this Pacers team was, but all those games are competitive, and you could argue in this one, this could have easily been a 2-2 series right now, or if again the Pacers took care of business there, they were right there to win 3 of these games, and the Celtics took the last 2 from them. The Pacers gave away 1, but the future is pretty promising for Indiana here. I think if you re-sign Siakam, you get Halliburton healthy right now, you add maybe a couple more complementary pieces, a couple more guys that could play a little defense. Then this is a team that is going to be on the up and coming more, I feel like, in the East when you look at just some veteran teams around them. So I don't think they're going to be able to scare the Celtics anytime soon like they did at times in this series. Porzingis being back on the floor gives a tremendous size difference when both these teams are at full strength. But this is a unexpectedly fun series, Jay. It was got a lot of entertainment out of 4 games here.
And the Pacers, they just have building blocks. They have a style that works for them. They have players who fit into that style. Halliburton's great in the run and gun. Nesmith, great in the run and gun. Obi Toppin, great in the run and gun. Pascal Siakam loves that type of game. Just felt like a team that found an identity this year and was able to carry it over to the playoffs. They scored and scored throughout the playoffs.
Still Butterblue, Boston, Texas, still Butterblue.